And we have our guest already. This is perfect. 1 second. Let me add them into our live. If housing, you just want to request to join real quick, I can check you in and then we can get going. Awesome. Thank you all for coming in here and joining. This is so great. Okay, we have our welcome in, everyone. I'm just going to be talking about housing today. Hello.
Hello, how's it going?
Good, how are you?
Doing good, yeah, glad to be here with everyone today.
Awesome. Well, welcome in. I'd love to start with just some introductions, introducing ourselves, so you know what we do on campus. Would you like to start?
Yeah, sure. Hi, everyone. My name is Clinton. I'm a current 5th year architecture student now, and I also study theater arts. So if you have any questions about anything like that, happy to answer it. But I've also been the housing ambassador for Cal Poly since my freshman year. So I know a bunch about housing. If you ever go on a housing tour, I was probably there giving it to you, or there at open house. And I'm originally from San Diego, California, so hopefully we got some San Diegans out there also. But yeah, before I continue on, I want to introduce, I use the pronouns he, him, his, and other things I do on campus. I'm a part of the Cal Poly Disc Golf Club. I do a bunch of intramural sports, so you've definitely got to do those starting your first year. And, you know, just love hanging out in SLO.
Awesome. That was a perfect introduction.
I do it a lot.
Well, my name is Erin. I use the pronoun she, her, hers, and I'm going into my 4th year as an anthropology and geography major. And then I'm minoring in law and society. So I'm majoring and minoring in the College of Liberal Arts. If anyone has any questions about that, please feel free to ask them. And I'm a part of PolyReps, which is the tour guide organization on our campus. So we do all of our general tours, and then I also work at the Welcome Center. So that's why I'm here giving this a little Mustang Mondays admissions live. And then I am from San Rafael, California, which is Bay Area. Awesome. Okay, so why don't you start off with just telling us a little bit about yourself and what you do with housing?
Sure. Yeah, so if you could tell about my intro, I do give a lot of tours for housing particularly. So if you ever go on a housing tour, sadly, we haven't had a ton the past couple of years due to COVID. But usually we'll be out there, you know, twice a day, going through all the residence halls, showing them off for all the first year students. And then for our transfer students, we'll show off the apartments that we have on campus for them as well. So a lot of my time is spent doing that, but we'll also do additional events, you know, during open house or when we have a lot of students on campus. Kind of just showing everyone, you know, what housing looks like here at Cal Poly, as pretty much everyone who comes on campus for that first year is going to be required to live on campus. And we have the largest amount of students living on campus in the CSU system, so it's a great community. Yeah, it's a kind of a cool fun fact. Yep. There's a bunch of students there.
So could you talk a little bit about what that move-in process would then look like?
Yeah, so it's coming up. It's going to be September 13th and 14th for all of our incoming first year and transfer students. And then it'll be a little bit different for our continuing students. It'll be on like the 16th through the 18th. So if you're a 2nd year through your 5th year, that's when you'll be moving in. You want to make sure that you should have got a bunch of emails first off, kind of talking you through the move-in process, you want to make sure you sign up for a time slot throughout the day, whether that be on the 13th or the 14th. And then essentially you'll just come in. There's a certain way that you're gonna have to come onto campus. There's two different routes. One kind of coming up Grand Avenue. That's a great experience. There's a bunch of people out there, a bunch of WOW leaders cheering you on. Must see the Mustangs out there, doing some front flips or something like that. And you'll go up straight through that. That's gonna be for Yaki Tutu and our Yosemite and Sierra Madre residence halls. And then for like the red bricks, North Mountain and our apartments, you're going to be coming up through Highland, which is right up the one. So it'll be a little bit different for everyone. We just want to make sure you sign up for that time slot, and then you're going to enter in then. It's very mellow. Don't worry about it too much. If you miss it by 20 minutes, it's okay. We just want to make sure we know about how many people are coming at what time also. And also with that being said, the 13th might be getting booked up now, but the 14th is still pretty open. So if you're okay with coming on that second day, I would kind of recommend it. It'll be a little bit slower of a process. You might be a little more comfortable moving everything in. You won't miss anything. WOW is going to start that night, so don't be afraid that you're going to miss any of the activities. There'll still be stuff going on throughout that entire week for you.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, definitely. I know this is not what we're talking about, but if you're coming to San Luis Obispo, you're going to be a Cal Poly student, go to WOW Week. It is so much fun. Don't just hang out, in your dorm room. Go and experience things. Do WOW Week. It is incredible. I met some of my friends that I'm still friends with into my fourth year during WOW Week. So definitely do those events.
Yeah, if I can give two tips, I'd say be okay with being uncomfortable, at least for the first couple of weeks. When I went there, I only knew a handful of people, but I barely saw them my entire time that I've kind of been here. So you're really going to meet a bunch of new people, and they're all in the same position as you. They're all kind of as scared and nervous. So just go for it. The more people you meet, the better you're going to be for it. And then the second little tip would be just leave your door open. If you're hanging out in your room and, maybe you're just reading or doing some homework, or you're just on your phone, leave your door open. If someone walks by, they might just say, hey, what's up? Or one of my best friends right now, first time I met him, he was walking right outside my door with his surfboard, and we just started talking it up a little bit. And, I've known him for the past 4 years. He's one of my best friends. So just be okay with putting yourself out there, even if that's not who you are. I'd say go for it.
Yeah, awesome. So you did kind of mention those second, third, fourth, even fifth years that are going to be living on campus. They move in later, so that housing is not open over the summer, correct?
Well, so it's a little bit different. During the summer, we do have some students that are living in some of our apartments, but it's usually only one building, and everyone kind of shuffles over there before they shuffle to their next assignment for the upcoming year. So you will probably have to move if you are living on campus, you will probably have to move to your academic year apartment there. Yeah.
Okay, awesome. And so I was hoping you could talk a little bit about RAs and what that looks like as a first year, or even, do second, third, fourth, fifth years have RAs if they live on campus? But mainly just for those first years, what does having an RA look like?
Yeah, so for those of you who don't know what an RA is, they're a resident advisor, and they're going to be a student just like you who's in their second through fifth year, maybe even more. But they have lived through the entire residence process just like you. There's usually going to be one of them per every floor of your building, maybe every wing. So they're going to be nearby. And they're just a great resource for you if you have any questions about, how does college even work? Go to them. They'll be throwing a lot of fun events that you have to go to, especially if you want to break up your meal plan. For me, there was a lot of pizza and ice cream socials that they were having. I made sure to go to all of those because I'm a big fan of pizza and ice cream, but also just meeting other students in your residence hall. So they're going to be, the first person you go to if you maybe have an issue with your roommates, you're going to talk it out with them, and they're going to help you through that process as well. But don't look to them as like maybe like a person of authority who's like trying to put you down or like put you in a box or anything like that. They are there as like a leadership presence for you, but they are also trying to assist you throughout the entire time. So there's someone you can lean on if you want to meet new people or have new experiences there as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, from my own personal experience, I was able to get super close with one of the RAs in my building just because, like, you know, we became friends. She was only a year older than me. I things where it's like the idea of an RA is so like, oh, you know, they're going to be like mean or whatever. And that's just not the case. Sometimes they can actually become really good friends of yours, which I found personally.
Yeah. I mean, they're just like you. They're like a year or two older than you, so don't worry about it. Yeah, they're pretty great. And then I'll just talk about CSDs really quickly. They're the coordinator of student development. So they're an adult with a master's degree in an associated field. And there's going to be about one of them per every building. So they'll actually be living within the building as well, and they'll oversee the entire RA process. So maybe you have like a higher issue that comes up with your roommate, you'll go to your RA first, and then they'll point you into the direction of the CSD. But they're also great. They'll throw events. I remember having a dinner with some of my college counselors one night, and they're Persian, so they made a great Persian meal for us. We all sat together and got to talk to people within our college, to all the RAs, CSDs, everything like that. So be sure to go to those events. Great way to meet new people. I think there was a Harry Potter night once, and I'm not a big Harry Potter person at all, but I had a great time. You could see other people were as well.
Yeah. If you could talk a little more about those events. I mean, at least for me, I was in the red brick dorms, so we had grills behind the red bricks, and we would do like big barbecues and just like hang out. We would do movie nights. We would do like little sleepovers. Like it was just like big events with people in our dorms. And then we also had, as you mentioned, like super helpful events too. So there was one, how to basically set up your schedule. It was this big event with students in our dorm, and that was like super helpful too. So do you have any other examples of different events that went on in the dorms?
Yeah, totally. Which red brick were you in? I was in Sequoia.
I was in Santa Lucia.
All right, yep. Red bricks are great, people. If you move into them, it's a great time.
Yeah.
But yeah, so there's great stuff like that. Helping with your schedule is something RAs might put on. A majority of them are going to be focused to the residential learning community that you pick, the RLC. So I was in my college's RLC, so it was all architecture and environmental design students. So we had some nights where we'd go out there, maybe work on some projects together if we had them, or a lot of us were in like physics and calculus classes first year, so they would have some events to help us out that way. So RAs will do some programming like that. There's also another component to the housing experience, and that's called Inner Housing Council. It's kind of like a student ASB that you would find in high school, but it's for residents of, the residence halls as well as the apartments. So you can become like a president or a vice president, or just one of the members of the board within each one of the residence halls. So they'll advocate for certain things like the water bottle fillers that are like all around campus. They advocated to get those everywhere, but they also have an event team, and they'll host pretty large experiences. So there was like a silent disco that happened on Yaki Tutu Lawn one year, and there was like street tacos, and it went on for like 4 hours, something like that. Everyone was invited to go to that. So there'll be large events that happen for everyone, some just for your residence hall. So you got to go check them out. Silent discos, like Harry Potter nights, as I said earlier, maybe like movie nights, things like that are always happening. That's a great thing about being on campus at Cal Poly. It's not like other ones where it's more like commuter based. There's a lot of people on campus pretty much at all times. So there's always something that's happening, and you'll never be bored, only if you kind of want to, have that time for yourself.
So you did kind of mention like residential learning communities. Could you kind of dive deeper into that and explain what that is and what that means and how do you choose them?
Yeah. Yeah, so for those of you who are moving in a couple weeks now, you should already know your RLC as well as your assignment and everything like that. But for those of you that are prospective and still looking at Cal Poly, our housing is based pretty much all upon these residential learning communities. So you're not going to be choosing a building in your application or your top 2 buildings. You'll be choosing your top 2 communities. So they kind of break down into 4 different categories, as I like to put it. The first one is all the colleges. So you can choose to live within your own college or maybe a different one if you want to meet some new people. Personally, I kind of wish I did that because I know way too many architecture people right now. I see them all the time, but I also like live with all of them, like great friends with them. So as its pros and cons, it just kind of goes with how you like it. So there's that. There's also our cultural or identity-based ones. So we have like the Black Scholars Program, our Asian Pacific Islander Scholars, as well as a bunch of other ones. So you can choose to live within that community. We also have like interest-based. So collaborative leadership is kind of an example of that. And then there's one more, and it always evades me. I'll see if I can think of it, but there's gonna be a full list of them online, so you can look it up right now and see where these RLCs are placed in whichever building. I just remembered the other one. It's invitational programs. So if you're a Cal Poly scholar or a part of the EOP program, you'll be required to live with them as well. So yeah, you can check out the full list on the website, the Cal Poly housing website. And then there'll be the residence hall it's attached to for the upcoming year there. One really big important thing is that they will switch locations from year to year. So let's say College of Architecture is in Sequoia this year. It may switch over to Yakitutu for the next year. It's all based upon demand and the amount of students that we get for each one of these communities. So if we have 100 students that all want to live together, we want to make sure they're in the same building that accommodates them rather than being in like 2 or 3 separate ones. So just keep that in mind. It's all about the community, not about the buildings. All the buildings are very unique to one another. So like, don't worry about it. We're in the red bricks, and you know, some people, when they first move in, are like, oh, I do not want to be there, but it's really great. It's a very social residence hall, and they all have their pros and some cons to them.
Yeah, totally. And I was in the red bricks, as I mentioned before, but I was a part of the leadership community. So that was really awesome. It was just a great way to meet a ton of different people in different majors, but everyone that was just like super extroverted and just wanted to be leaders in their own fields. And then with that, we did an hour-long class a week, just learning how to, you know, be a leader, but not only just like taking over, but, you know, being a community leader and working with people. So that was really awesome. I also kind of want to dive into like gender inclusive housing options too, because I know that some of our housing is set up differently. So
Sure. Yeah. So it kind of breaks down into 2 different groups, I guess. We have gender inclusive housing, which is going to be an option within your application. And so we like to have these gender inclusive clusters within every one of our residence halls. You know, maybe it's a floor, maybe it's a wing, but we would like to have that be an option for every RLC. So it doesn't matter if you're in the College of Architecture or if you're a Cal Poly scholar, there will be that option for you. So you'll be placed into a room with someone of any gender, and that'll be pretty much how the floor or wing is set up for you. And then we also have the Pride community, which is another one of those like identity options. So it's something that's very similar, but a lot of the programming will be focused around the Pride community rather than, let's say, if you're in the College of Architecture in gender inclusive, you will still have access to the College of Architecture's programming through the RAs and everything like that. So we do like to have a lot of options for students to choose. You'll only be placed in a gender inclusive cluster if you choose that on your application. And so we hope to have like these more inclusive spaces for students to, you know, be comfortable with where they're living for an entire year, a couple of years. So it's pretty important for us.
Yeah. And then I just wanted to mention for those coming to Cal Poly, we do have a couple of different programs that are going to be a 2-year housing requirement. So that's going to be, and correct me if I'm wrong, our architecture program, our engineering program, our College of Agriculture, Food, and Environmental Sciences programs, and then our Cal Poly Scholars, which is going to be like anyone that receives money from Cal Poly, and then also our D1 athletes are all going to live on campus their second year.
Yeah, and just to clarify, for Cal Poly Scholars, it's not as if like you just get financial aid that you'll have to be on campus. It's an invitational program that you have to apply to, and then get accepted into, and then you're a Cal Poly Scholar. So it's a little bit different than just getting a financial aid for the upcoming year.
Awesome.
Yeah, that's spot on.
And so then if I'm coming in my first year, what would I do to eat on campus? Do I have like a kitchen space? Do I have my own, mini fridge? What does that kind of look like?
Yeah, so all incoming first years will be required to have a meal plan. And then for, let's say, an incoming transfer student, you're not required to have that. However, there is an option for it there. So, so you'll have a meal plan, and then you can go to any one of the restaurants on campus. It's not like other universities that might have a dining complex at each one of our residence halls, but rather it's a little bit different in that we have a bunch of eateries, cafeterias, restaurants, food trucks. We have a Starbucks truck that's on campus. So you can go to any one of those places and use your meal plan there. If you want to cook for yourself, we have 2 different markets, or actually 3 different markets on campus. So you can pick up, dry goods or vegetables and then bring them back to your residence hall. Every residence hall will either have a kitchen within the building or within its community center for students to access. So don't worry about bringing pots and pans, or knives or anything like that. You can rent it out at the front desk for free, and then you can just cook up a meal. Personally, I didn't really cook at all. I just would really go eat at all the different spots, but I did bake cookies, I think once or twice. So you do have that option if you want, some cookies or something like that.
Yeah, we had some people that would like to bake a cake every once in a while.
Mm-hmm.
Definitely more using those dining dollars to just get pre-made meals is mostly what students do.
Yeah.
So did you live in a triple or a double? What was your situation your first year?
Yeah, so I kind of lucked out, got a double in the red bricks. Just so everyone knows, there's different layouts for pretty much every residence hall. So Yaki Tutu is all triples, whereas the red bricks are doubles and triples. So it'll change from every building to building. But I was in a double, and it wasn't too bad. Our setup, and the setup for most doubles, is going to be 2 beds on the floor. But we decided to switch it up halfway through the year and make our beds a bunk bed, and then we have a little bit more space to hang out and have people over if we wanted. So there is that option. You kind of want to reconfigure your room, you can totally do that. Just make sure you reach out to housing, and they'll send someone to come do it for you. And they're really quick about things, so don't think oh, well, it's going to take them 2 weeks to come over and do this, so I might as well do it myself. First off, it's kind of a bad idea. And the second off, they will come within a day or two. At least that was my experience. So yeah, having a double and having a roommate may be a little intimidating at first, especially when you don't know them, as a lot of students kind of come in with a random roommate or 2 random roommates. But you just got to be clear with one another and talk things out, and just be real with one another is kind of the best way to go about things. You'll sign a roommate agreement once you move in a couple of weeks, and you'll just state kind of your expectations for one another and how you're going to go about it, and that helps out. But yeah, just be honest with one another. If you have any issues, you can go to your RA, and they'll try to help you out with that as well.
Yeah, definitely. My own recommendation is just set down, your, preferences for how you'd like things in the room, even though you may feel like, oh, I don't want to, be too pushy with this, or I don't want to be this way. When you're first meeting people, it's really important to just say, I, needed to be quiet by this time, or I am an early riser and I'll try to be quiet, but just like, get that out in the open when you're talking to your new roommates, because it's super important to, say that right away rather than figuring it out later and then having to work through that.
Yeah, and like it's hard to do this, but try to come in with like no expectations, especially if you like found someone through Instagram, let's say, and you're like, oh, this person's gonna be perfect. We both mountain bike, and we love to read or something like that. I'm sure that's great, but also their sense of clean might be a little bit different than you, or their definition of staying up late might be a couple hours later than you. So just try to go in with no expectations and work things out as it comes along. I love the people that go to Cal Poly. They're all very mellow and very understanding of one another. So I'm sure it'll all work itself out. You don't have to worry about it too much.
Yeah. I see some questions in the chat. This is my own fault. But if anyone does have a question, I can answer the couple ones I see. I do have one that says, does Jamba Juice and Starbucks accept gift cards?
I think so. Yeah, they kind of serve as like normal, Jamba Juice, Starbucks. Oh yeah, they totally do, because I used one. I'm not a big Starbucks person, but I had a couple cards and they're like, oh yeah, go ahead. So yeah. If you send them to your WOW leaders, I was a WOW leader. I can't say my WOWies got me any gift cards, but they would be gladly accepted.
Yeah. The only thing I do know about our campus is that most all places don't take cash. That is one thing that I learned on our campus. So we have another question. If we have a bunk bed, can we make it into a single bed?
Yeah. I don't think so. That's not usually how it works out. So if you have a bunk bed already in your room's probably a triple.
Yeah.
So you're either going to have, a bunk bed and then a lofted bed with a desk underneath. So there's not a lot of space to go around, especially if you're taking a bunk bed and trying to put it on the floor. You can always look online to like floor plans of, every type of room. But for that, it doesn't really go that same way. Usually it's like the opposite way. 2 single beds, you can make a bunk bed if you want.
Yeah. Someone just asked about in-person classes. Great question. Most classes are in person. I think it's about 90% at this point. I don't know if you know any more information about that, but all of my classes this past year were in person.
Yeah. It's pretty great. A lot of students are like vaccinated and have all their boosters, and so are staff and faculty. So we've been able to have a lot of in-person classes and not had to like wear masks also. So I think that's the plan for the upcoming quarter. And that's one of the best parts about going to Cal Poly is like that learn by doing and in-person, a learning technique, I guess. It's been pretty great. So I'm excited to get back in person and continue to be in person.
Yeah. And then someone asked, do students live on campus for more than just 1 year? What do 3rd and 4th year students typically do for housing?
Yeah. So if you are part of those 3 colleges or a student athlete, Cal Poly Scholar, you do have that 2nd year requirement. So your 1st year will be in the residence halls, 2nd year in our apartments on campus. But then for like your 3rd, 4th year, it's really up to you. There's a ton of off-campus apartments if that's kind of what you're into. And there's a ton of options there kind of all around it. However, there are a good amount of like houses. So I got lucky and it was before the 2nd year requirement, but I got into a house my 2nd year. I'd say that's what a lot of students are kind of looking to do. There's not a ton of houses in SLO, so you do have to get on it pretty early, like maybe around February is a good time to start looking at houses. But it's not like other campuses in which a lot of students like hunt and like compete to stay on campus. There's a lot of different options all around, so don't have to worry about it too much. But I'd say a lot of students try to find housing off campus. Would you agree for like the third, fourth year?
Yeah. So my first year I was on campus. And then my second year I was in an apartment. And then I stayed in that apartment my third year. And now my fourth year I'm in a house. So I feel like that's kind of what majority of people do.
Mm-hmm.
Go in an apartment for a year or so and then go into a house. But people do stay on campus. It's available. If it's not going to be to find a place to live. You will. And there's like, you just said, there's a lot of different apartment complexes right around Cal Poly that are, specifically for students to find housing. I lived in one of those.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Oh, wow. We have a couple of questions. Do you know about Fremont? Do you know if people are going to be living in Fremont this year?
Yeah, so I know they've been working on it the past year, especially just grading that hill. I don't believe it's going to be open this year. I know they're pushing for it. And let me see, I can check real quick. So for people who don't know, Fremont is one of the red brick buildings, and it closed a couple of years ago. Oh, it is open. Okay, yeah. So Fremont will be open for the upcoming year for the College of Architecture and Environmental Design. So yeah, that was closed because there's a landslide that kind of came close to it. So they had to fix that. But yeah, so now we have all of our red bricks open again.
And thank you, Adrian, for commenting, because I see we have someone who's actually going to be living in Fremont this next year.
All right, go architecture.
So someone asked, do dining dollars work at the marketplaces? They most certainly do. You can actually use your dining dollars anywhere that food is sold on our campus. So even at like Jamba Juice, or if you want to, get your groceries at the marketplaces, or you want to go, to Vista Grande, which is another dining facility, go get, yourself some dessert or something. Any place on our campus, you're able to use those dining dollars, which is really nice.
Yeah, and there's like a website that you can go and check the amount of dining dollars that you have and see like where you should be. So maybe you're eating a little too much or a little too fast. You can like check in, like, okay, I need to slow down. I need to add some more money to my account. You can do the same thing. You can also change the tier or like the level of meal plan that you have from quarter to quarter. So maybe you got like the best one with the most money on it fall quarter, and you're not using it as much as you thought. You can drop it down if you want for the next one, just so you're not spending as much money for it.
Yeah, totally. Okay, so I actually don't totally know the answer to this question, but the question is just, when does rushing begin? So I'm assuming this is for our social Greek life.
Yeah, so I know they do 2 different rushes, and again, I'm not a part of any fraternity life, but I had a couple of roommates who were, I believe it's like 2 weeks in or something like that for fall rush. And then I believe they do winter rush as well, but they won't do it for spring. And I may have it wrong as to where they do winter, or they do spring and not winter, but I believe it's fall and winter. But yeah, you'll see a bunch of stuff going on. You'll know about it. There's going to be a bunch of flyers and things, so you won't miss it. Don't be afraid of like missing it. It's pretty evident that what's going on there. But yeah, there'll be a full week, like a rush week, where you go meet different fraternities or sororities at that time.
Yeah, everyone in your hall will be talking about it, so don't worry.
And there's also like a club fair that's going to happen during WOW. So you'll go to I believe it's one of our parking lots, and there's just a bunch of easy ups out there with different clubs on campus. I believe the fraternities and sororities are out there as well, so you can go talk to them initially, and that'll be maybe the first weekend of school, or like before school even starts. And go to those and try to meet as many people as you can, join as many clubs as you can. I'd say that's something I missed out on. And I wish if I could do it all over again, I would have started that sooner. You don't have to like go every week or, be the most consistent member. But if you go, every once in a while, you're meeting a bunch of new people. And that's really one of the best things you can do, at college is just meet a bunch of different people and make a bunch of friends.
Yeah. The club showcase, pretty sure, is the 18th of September. So, because I will be there. So, please go. Everyone basically is going to be there who is a part of a club. And clubs are just some of the most amazing ways to meet people, to try out new hobbies, to continue a hobby, like anything. Definitely check them out.
Yeah, we have a good array of different clubs going on. Yeah, I'm in a Spanish club and I barely speak Spanish, but just trying to get out there and better myself a little bit every day. So there you go.
That's awesome. Okay. If anyone has any more questions, please use the Q function so I can pin them. So I will wait for some of those to come in. But do you have any, final thoughts, anything you want to say? Make sure maybe first years coming in, make sure they know or anything like that. Any advice?
Yeah. I'd say like when you're getting ready to bring everything, you're packing up, sometimes and the majority of the time, less is better. You don't need to bring, 5 suitcases full of stuff. There's going to be carts that will be able to, move all of your things from your car over to your dorm. And I'd say if you're packing up more than 2 of those like moving carts, you have way too much for what's there. So there's a great list online of like what to bring, what not to bring. It's going to be different for first years and transfer students, as transfers will be in apartments and have like kitchen spaces and like bathrooms like within their apartments. So be sure to check that out. But even when you're here, you're going to be picking up a lot of stuff. Hopefully you'll be going like thrifting and things like that. Go check out the bins if you want some good deals. But you'll also be getting a lot of free t-shirts. They'll just be handing them out to you, a bunch of stuff you'll be getting for free the first couple of weeks. So don't worry about like clothes too much. I'd say bring a fan is pretty essential. I think I had my fan running 24/7 just to bring some new air into our room. But it doesn't really get too hot, so don't worry about that too much. I also brought like an oil diffuser. So, make your room as comfortable as you want. If you have some like string lights with a little battery pack, those are always fun. Or like an LED strip can be fun for that too. But just make the space your own. And there's a good amount of space. My roommate had his mountain bike in our room. Like we tucked it under my bed. And then I had my surfboard up on the wall and like a big printer. So there's space in there. You just got to, make it work. It's also your first year, so like don't expect too much. You're there for the dorm experience, and it's a really fun time. Yeah, definitely. Try to just be there, be in the moment, say hi to everyone. We do have. Oh wow, we got a couple of questions. Awesome. So I don't know if you would know this. I definitely don't know this. But where can an incoming student find their mailbox number? Sure. So I believe you get an email like kind of with your assignment and it'll tell you that. If not, you can probably look up on the website. I think there's like a general kind of mailing address, and then you put like, I live in Sequoia 303, and like that'll be the first part of it. And then it'll all figure itself out. So you can find that online. Probably on the housing website. If not, just feel free to email housing@calpoly.edu. We'll have student assistants that get back to you immediately, or you can just call us, during the workday, and we'll be able to get that information to you. And then when you're on campus, some buildings have mailboxes within the residence hall, but then again, some of them they're package centers. So if you want to send a package to yourself, you'll be going there instead of at the mailboxes within your room. And it looks like someone said they already sent an email with our addresses. So just make sure you're checking your email. I'm sure you're getting a ton of them, but that should have your mail address there.
Yeah. If someone were to ship something to their school address, like already, would it hold until they move in?
I believe so. Yeah, hopefully they just don't.
Yeah.
Like, oh, she's not here. We're getting rid of it. I'm pretty sure they would. Maybe you want to wait to send it until you're going to be there, as maybe a lot of students will be sending things into their school address. There may not be enough mailboxes for them. So unless it's something that's like absolutely necessary, I'd say just hold off, until you're there. There's gonna be a lot of stuff going on those first couple of days. You'll be busy all day with WOW. So if you can hold off, I'd say do that. But I can't imagine they would just, send it back, or I don't even know, throw it in the trash. I don't think they would do that.
Yeah, no. I don't think so. I actually don't know the answer to this one. Where do they go for WOWie check-in?
Yeah, I'm not sure of the location. A majority of the time, it's been in the University Union. So that's kind of like the main hub over near like Mott Lawn, near the gym. But when you get here, there'll be a bunch of signs, and there'll be people like myself there ushering you to where you need to go after you move in. So don't worry about it. We'll get you all checked in for it. And yeah, WOW is an exciting time. It'll be a really fun time, especially now it's back in person. There'll be kayaking. I think I did like an escape room with my WOWies, and had some times at the beach. So it's a really fun time. Try to go to as many events as you can. Even if you're not really feeling it, you can maybe take off, an event or two, but it's going to be a great way to meet people within your residence hall. And like two of my best friends right now I met during WOW. So, you want to put yourself in a position to make great friends, which hopefully you will.
Yeah, I completely agree. Okay, I love this question that's coming up. Top 3 things to bring to your dorm, like things that you didn't think you would need. I feel like definitely, everyone says this, a fan. I loved having my fan. It was great. For me, I loved having a little rug in my room. It just made it, more homey. It made it nice. I felt rooms that didn't have rugs, completely fine, but it just didn't feel as homey. I liked being able to just like have a rug in there. And then bring plants. I loved having my plants in my dorm room, make sure they're getting enough sun. But just like bring some life to the room. The rooms are kind of small, but if you throw a couple plants in there, it makes it very homey.
Yeah, definitely. I agree with the fan. I think everyone should. Second thing, I had a little Himalayan salt lamp thing, had some great light in there with it, some great positive ions that were coming from the lamp. And then maybe I'll give 2 more, because one of them's kind of I don't know, pretty generic. Be a mattress topper, like a little foam mattress topper. Just make sure everything you get is twin XL, because there are twin XL beds, not just normal twins. And then, yeah, I'd say just bring things that you like doing now. Don't be afraid to bring a bike. I think bringing a bike is a great thing. You can bike around on campus, but there's also something called bike night, which happens once every month, and people get out there in downtown and just do laps around downtown on their bikes, and they'll have like LEDs, and everyone gets into costumes, things like that. There's like 300, 400 people out there on bikes doing that. So that's something you might want to be a part of. But don't be afraid of maybe not having enough space, because you can usually work around it. Like try to bring your surfboards, try to bring your climbing things if you want to. It's a very outdoorsy school, and we like to get out and do activities like that. So yeah, just try to keep continuing what you like. If you like painting, bring all your paint stuff.
Yeah, one thing too with that is I love to paint. And so I brought all my painting stuff, but also bring like a little blanket you can put outside. I remember always using that. I would go over to all of the lawns near North Mountain, and I would just want like a little blanket to sit on. So definitely, if you like picnics, like sitting out in the sun, bring like a towel or a blanket or something, like not just like a shower towel, but actual like beach towel or something you can sit on. That's definitely something people forget. And then there's like beaches around us and, tons of different places to sit outside. So that's definitely something.
Yeah.
This is just a question about dining facilities being open for move-in. I would assume that they're all going to be open.
I believe so. They might have some different hours, just because a lot of our dining facilities are staffed by students. So until like the main student population comes back, they might have some differences. But there's definitely places for you to eat. And then as long as you're, participating within WOW, they'll provide like dinner and kind of lunch for you. Sometimes you'll go out with your WOW group to somewhere off campus to go get food, go downtown and get food, things like that. So just check all of it. I'm sure all the hours are online. But as long as you're with WOW, you'll have your food kind of taken care of.
Yeah, totally. I was not worried about where I was going to get, my next food with all of the WOW events and move-in and stuff. They have it pretty nicely planned, and like some you do and stuff, which is really nice. So just a couple more questions. Someone asked, can you have an electric kettle?
So we don't want you to have an electric kettle within the room, especially if you're a first year. A good way of putting it is that, kitchen items kind of belong in the kitchen. So there will be, a kitchen within your residence hall, one that you'll have access to. So you can go over there and use a kettle. At least when I was a first year, we weren't supposed to. I'd say just check the what to bring, what not to bring. I'll check it real quick. Yeah, so on here, I believe it says don't bring one. So there will be one within your residence hall already. So you don't necessarily need one within your room.
Awesome. And then the same person asked, what size rug? I don't remember what size rug I grabbed, but a lot of times if you go to Target, they'll have like a certain dorm section. And also, if you look online, you can see all of the dimensions of all of the rooms. So I'm assuming that you are an incoming first year. You can look and see the dimensions, and then you can kind of see how much space you have in between, how big you want that rug to be, because it really just depends if you want it to be in the middle of your room or like taking up the whole room. So really up to you, but pretty simple. And then if it doesn't fit, you can return it. Oh gosh, wow, so many questions. This is kind of, for some reason I couldn't share. Let's do this one. Okay. Do you recommend floor column fan or window fan, desk fan?
Yeah, I think I had just like one of the little desk fans, and I would just put it up on my windowsill and have it run all the time. Another one of my buddies had a column fan, which seemed to work out well for him. It doesn't really matter. I guess it's whichever preference you have. Yeah. For me, it was nice to bring that outside air in. So just having that little desk fan there was pretty mellow and worked out well. But just make sure you check in with your roommate too. And if you haven't like texted your roommate or emailed them or anything, I'd say go for it. If you're not the first person to do it, then it may never happen. And you want to make sure you're not bringing like too many like items. So you guys could both bring like 2 different types of fans, which could be helpful. But if there's 3 of you, you don't really need 3 different fans or other things like that. So it's always nice to reach out to your roommate and say, hey, how's it going? And just start that conversation early.
Yeah. Well, awesome. I think I'm going to wrap this up. Thank you so much for joining me and talking about housing. I'm sure so many people got their questions answered and maybe even answered some questions they didn't even know they had.
I'm sure.
Yeah, I mean, you're kind of the expert. You've been doing this for 5 years now, I guess. This will be the 5th.
Maybe 4. Maybe I'm not that old just yet. Yeah, just 4.
But yeah, thank you everyone for joining us and for watching this. And this will be posted on the Cal Poly Admissions Instagram. So if you want to go rewatch this, you totally can get some more information. And then if you still have some questions, please feel free to email people, look it up online. We have a ton of great resources. But yeah, we just wanted to give y'all a little bit of information about housing. So thank you so much for having me. A wonderful talk.
Yeah, it was great. Yeah, we have a bunch of resources on our Instagram as well. If you want to see like the inside, we have like little dorm tours. So you can see me over at Yaki Tutu walking through there or at other places. But yeah, there's a bunch of resources. So yeah, thanks everyone for joining and have a great move-in. Hopefully I'll see you around campus.
Yeah, totally. And have a good Monday, everyone. Thank you for joining.
Bye, everyone.
Hey there, my name's Rafael. I'm a fourth-year journalism transfer student with a minor in Spanish, and my pronouns are he, him, his. Thank you for watching the video. Please share any questions or comments you have down below in the comment section. Click here to subscribe, and to watch more videos, click here. If you want to sign up for a campus visit, we're offering in-person and virtual options, so check out our website. Link in the description. Thank you for watching.